Okay, so Taddeo thinks that information warfare is like traditional warfare in a few important respects, but it's also very different. So, one way in which information warfare is similar to traditional warfare is that um, it's powerful, disruptive. Those things, traditional warfare is like that too. And the methods and weapons used in traditional warfare are powerful and disruptive too. So that's not different, but there are some things that are different. So one aspect of one aspect of information warfare that's different from traditional warfare is bloodlessness for those using the relevant technologies. So traditional warfare that requires a physical commitment of troops and risks. But information warfare isn't like that. Information warfare, technologies used in information warfare, those things can be deployed without risking casualties on your side. We saw this with drones. You could have an army of drones, an army of automated tanks, and you could have somebody typing on the internet somewhere, doing remote work, doing programming, and your people aren't at risk. And so there's a bloodlessness to it that's a different aspect of information war rather than traditional war. Another different aspect of information war is the cost effectiveness of information warfare. So traditional warfare requires lots of resources. It requires, as we saw, blood, money, time, lots of stuff like that. Information warfare is cost effective in certain ways. The traditional warfare isn't. So given the powerful communication tools that you've got when you're fighting an information war, one thing that does is increase the effectiveness of each fighting unit. So each unit has greater autonomy because it has so much more information about what's going on. It doesn't have to wait for orders from somebody who's seeing the entire battlefield. There are direct links between the strategic levels and the tactical levels. Reduces costs of time, bureaucracy, stuff like that. So each fighting unit becomes more effective. You get more for your money per fighting unit. Second, robotic weapons and cyber attacks, they're lower cost than alternatives. You've already got computers in place. You've already got the robots. And so just sending them to war, you have less startup time. You don't have to feed them. And so lower cost for the weapons and the sorts of attacks. Better communication makes each particular unit a better fighter. Another aspect of information warfare that's different from traditional warfare is that traditional warfare and the methods and weapons in there are military specific. So you take a person and you turn them into a dangerous being, into a soldier. They're trained to do things that are very different than what a civilian is trained to do. That's not how information warfare is. Information warfare isn't military specific. The tech you need, computers, things like that, at least lots of the tech you need according to the author, and the skills you need like programming skills and stuff like that. That's those things that are required to fight in information warfare are also things that are largely used by civilians and people with civilian jobs. So you got to know programming maybe, but civilians do know programming. They can use it to make video games or to make other things. And so now civilians can deploy the relevant tech and skills for disruptive hits. And so you might look at all this and you might think, well, oops. You might think, hey, information warfare is great. It's a less bloody, cheaper, less military-based version of war, though it's a new type of war. And the author thinks that isn't quite right.